So, as you might have noticed, I really want to share how ADHD shows up in my life. So basically, I was working on my shop and I was going to open it in September. Well, that didn't happen because of another lack of motivation kind of moment, but I did end up opening it at the beginning of December. Unfortunately, about a week later, I felt like I didn't really want to run that shop, even though I spent like 6 months working on it and putting loads of money and loads of energy into it, just like any other business that I started. But this story is not about the business. I will save that for another time. So I opened my business, I lost motivation like a week later, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, I got new motivation and new inspiration, and I decided, wow, it's so close to Christmas, I really want to make Christmas ornaments, and I want to put them into the shop and sell them. And so I did. In about 3 days, I had my Christmas ornaments all ready for the shop. I designed them, I prepped the wood, I cut them, I finished them, and I think they look pretty cool. Let me show you. Here is one, another one, these 2 sparkly angels, and this one. And so my plan was to make 4 different ornaments, finish them completely, take pictures of them, make 4 listings for my shop, and also to make 4 different motivational sort of mental health videos in regards to Christmas. I mean, that sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Especially after I already finished the Christmas ornaments. Unfortunately, that is not what happened. I only created and posted 1 video with one of the Christmas ornaments. The other one is still sitting in my editing program. And I started to overthink. I was overthinking the bows, the ribbons. I started to research online. And then I ended up spending a whole day shopping for, I don't know, I went to shop for bows and ribbons, and I ended up going to TK Maxx and doing some food shopping as well. And so at the end, I left everything on my laser cutting machine and I was gonna finish it. But I pretty much forgot about it because I couldn't see it. It wasn't on my eye level. Also, our clothes were drying in front of the machine, so I really couldn't see them. And then when I finally spotted the Christmas ornaments again, it was a bit too late because it was really close to Christmas and I also kind of lost motivation. And so I left everything as it was because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't face the guilt that I might feel, which I did feel afterwards. I never took photos of my ornaments and I never listed them in my shop. And I never posted the other 3 videos that I started making. And I believe this was all because of my ADHD. The top of my machine as I left it. There you go. This is the bag with all the beautiful ribbons and bows and never used. So, reality of ADHD. And the reason why I'm sharing this story is not to beat myself up. It's just to explain why this happens with ADHD. Because it's not laziness and it's definitely not a character flaw. You know, from a scientific point of view, ADHD is mainly about dopamine regulation. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, reward, and basically a follow-through to make sure you don't only start something, but you also finish it. And so when something is new or urgent, like the idea of Christmas ornaments, dopamine spikes. That's why I could design them, make them, and finish them so fast. But once the novelty wears off, dopamine drops. And when dopamine drops, the brain basically struggles to initiate tasks, prioritize, and complete the boring but pretty necessary steps, like editing videos, taking photos, listing products. And another thing that happens is executive function. You know, that's the part of the brain that's responsible for planning, prioritizing, basically finishing tasks. So basically, instead of doing step A, B, C, D, the brain suddenly sees everything at once and gets overwhelmed. And that's why we often start overthinking. We become paralyzed to make decisions and our nervous system goes into avoidance mode. Ooh. And avoidance doesn't always look like doing nothing. Sometimes it does. But it often looks like researching, reorganizing, shopping for supplies, or basically just doing something that feels productive, but actually avoids the emotionally uncomfortable task, like facing possible failure, guilt, and disappointment. Out of sight, usually means out of mind with ADHD. Let's face it. If something isn't visually present, the brain stops holding it in working memory. So once the ornaments were covered and not in my direct view, they basically disappeared from my brain, from my life. And finally, there is the emotional side of ADHD: rejection sensitivity and shame. When I realized it was getting late and I should have already done it, the guilt became so uncomfortable that my brain was trying to protect me. Freeze, avoid, do not look at it. So yeah, I don't think this was a lack of ambition. It was just a very real ADHD brain doing what ADHD brains do the best. Under low dopamine, a bit of overwhelm, and emotional pressure. If my story resonated with you, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!